Pencil Kings, 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 Pencil Kings.
You know, it doesn't matter if somebody's got 10 years experience or just fresh out of school 6 months. If your reel looks good, we're going to give you a call and bring you in.
All right, we're back. This is the Pencil Kings podcast, and today we are talking with Corey Pelton, who's an animator. We haven't had a lot of animators on for a while, but I know that there's a lot of people out there who have animation dreams, and so Corey's going to tell us a little bit about his journey, and I'm really excited to hear his story because he's working on just a crazy project that everybody's talking about. My friends are just, oh, you got to get Overwatch. You got to get Overwatch. It's so amazing. I can't believe how amazing it is.
Wait, you haven't got Overwatch yet? No, come on, Mitch.
There's too much work to do. I gotta work. I gotta make podcasts. But yeah. So Corey, why don't you just start off telling people like a 1-minute overview of a little bit about who you are and what you do at Blizzard, I guess, which is the current thing. But we'll talk about some of your history as we get into the interview. But yeah, just the 1-minute overview.
Sweet. All right. Hey, yeah. First off, man, thanks for having me on, man. It's awesome. So for me, I'm a senior cinematic animator at Blizzard Animation. And currently I function as a show lead. And so what that means, I'm responsible for keeping the animation end of production flowing, make sure our team has everything they need to put out the best work possible. Also put out like small fires, anything that might pop up. Sit with our director and our anim soup, just ensure that the style is being hit for each shot and that we're hitting the director's vision for the entirety of the show. So also run things like our dailies in the morning, run our rounds in the evenings. We also do, once the team's all taken care of, then I can actually sit down and work on my own shots if I have time to do them. So that's pretty much it.
I love that distinction of if I have time to work on my own shots.
Yeah, that's always the tough part, man. Yeah, having time to work on production when you're kind of doing a management type role.
Yeah, and I think that's something that I certainly didn't realize when I was climbing the ladder, or whatever you want to call it, that the higher up you get, is like the more time you spend in Excel and MS Project or whatever, or Jira or whatever you're using for your team management thing. It was like, wait a second, I didn't get into this to do this. Although I kind of like that stuff. I like helping organize people and that. But
yeah, no, it's definitely good, man. I like helping facilitate, man. It's you get to see some really awesome things pop out from people, man. So, yeah, it feels good. So.
All right, so the first question that I want to ask you is about where you got started, because I know that there's a lot of people who, when I talk to them, like when people join Pencil Kings, we have a coaching call for some of these people just to help them get clear on what their big goals are so that we can set them on a path that's going to help them get there. And so people say, I really want to make a feature-length animation. And that brings me back to when I was about 17 or 15 or whatever, and doing lots of storyboarding. And I want to do that too, but the reality is that it takes like a huge team. There's a few individuals, I think, that have done it, but the reality is that it's a mountain that's climbed with a team, not as an individual.
No, definitely.
And so just what's realistic where people start? Like, where did you start, and how did you get your kind of break or get your foot in the door? What did that look like for you?
So I was lucky enough, like pretty much a few weeks after I graduated college, to get a job at a small startup in Arizona called Artifact Entertainment. And we were just literally, it was kind of wild, wild west of making games. So it was, I was modeling, texturing, animating. So I was more or less a generalist. I didn't really have a focus at that time. But once finished up there, I moved on to another small studio, but that got me out to California. Hopped around tons of studios, worked on some like mods and stuff just to do some extra work. And then just one day, I got a call out of the blue from a recruiter at Blizzard that he had actually recruited me at Electronic Arts when I was there. Said that they were in need of animators. So, yeah, I applied and just got lucky enough to get in, man.
Yeah, and you've been there for a while, right?
Yeah, it's 11 years next month, so it's definitely it's been a crazy journey there. So
yeah, and it seems like I feel like there was a time when Blizzard there was like a lull with WoW where things weren't coming out, and I'd heard rumblings like there's a lot of things in development, and now it seems like the hits just keep coming. That you guys are rolling things out fairly consistently, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think we've hit our stride now. So yeah, I mean these things take lots of time, man, to make. So we don't want to put out anything that's not Blizzard quality.
Mm-hmm. And going back to those early days, like you had mentioned, working on mods and kind of bouncing around, and I feel like this is a path that a lot of people take. That it's just finding that one job or that one studio where you want to stick around at, but. There is a lot of opportunity for people. Like it doesn't matter what time it is. There's lots of projects going on. How did you find out about some of these things, or how did you get on different mod teams, or find out about some of those smaller jobs that helped you, keep going, keep developing your skills, keep meeting more people and networking, because that's really important as well?
Yeah. Back in the day, I mean, I was on Polycount like a lot. I was doing more modeling than animation back at that time. So, I mean, there was tons of things popping up for, just tons of FPSs and things. So, yeah, it was like anything I could throw a hand in if somebody needed help with. It was just more or less practice, I guess, which is pretty much all art. If you want to, get good at something, you have to just constantly keep doing it. And
when you were on, because I remember I was on Polycount as well, I never felt like a standout there. I never had anything that got featured. But I did meet some cool people, and I would go to like the game develop. What is it? GDC. Sorry. I'd go to GDC and meet up with some Polycounters, which was always really cool. Meeting up with people face to face. But were you a rock star on there, or were you a lurker? What was your?
No, definitely not. No, never. Probably most of the time people were like probably laughed. I would imagine more back then. Yeah, most stuff was pretty horrible. Yeah, definitely no rock star status. So
I think it's okay though, and like what I want to impress upon people listening is that there are forums out there for the thing that you want to do, and you don't have to be a rock star to be on the path of working on rock star projects. But you do have to participate. Totally. You do have to meet people and put things out.
Networking, man. Networking's a big thing for sure. So you never know who's going to help you get your next job.
Okay, so you got the call from Blizzard. Do you feel like, I'm curious about getting into these top-level studios. Do you feel like there's something that stood out especially about you, there's something that you had like a special talent? For me, it was that I was in China building art outsourcing studios, and there just wasn't a lot of people doing that, so I stood out that way, and I was a little bit special that way. But for you as an animator, what do you think caught Blizzard's eye that got you in the door?
I think at the time, I was working on a lot of RPG games at the time, so I had tons of creature work and like boss fight, things like that. It was definitely in the wheelhouse that Blizzard. And when I came into Blizzard, I was actually working on World of Warcraft, so I came in as a game animator. So. Okay,
so just subject matter specific. I think that's a big thing that I see a lot of people trying to imitate certain artists, but you have to realize that there's the work that you want to work on. So if you want to do fantasy style work and get paid for it, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to only have your portfolio full of sci-fi stuff.
Yeah, totally. You always want to tailor your portfolio to whoever you're applying to. So yeah, it's best if you can target straight away.
So you get into Blizzard, you're working on World of Warcraft. How have you changed in your role over the course of the 10 years? Because this is another thing that I feel like people don't understand, that there's all these different job positions and they just think animator. That's it. There's animator, period. but there's all like hundreds of different job descriptions within that genre of I'm an animator. How's your path been, and how have things changed for you?
Yeah, so I came into Blizzard as a senior gameplay animator. So I worked on WoW for it was about 2 years before I moved over to cinematics department. And the reason I moved over to cinematics, I always wanted to do more performance type, animation, which, a lot of people usually get really stuck on wanting to do performance. So the in-game side of the cinematics department was just being built up. So I applied for that, and I actually had to do tests, animation tests and everything to prove that I was worthy enough to get in there. So, but once I got in, then it's all just been working on the cinematics for the last 8 years, and then as time went on, I got promoted to a level 2 senior, and the last few years, I've been working as we just call it a show lead. So I'm just more or less you help with posing at the start, getting style guides and anything that, once the team rolls onto the show, just anything so they hit the ground running, they don't have to question anything. So.
Gotcha. And do you remember what that original test was to go from the in-game team to the cinematic team?
Oh yeah, I had to. So at the time we had just released the Building a Better Marine cinematic with Tychus, and so that was the test they gave me. The Tychus in-game model and rig, and this was we did this in 3D Studio Max. So I got him, and there was another character. He was called the Grease Monkey, but it was just those two, just like a dialogue back and forth between them. So.
Oh, cool. So just one scene, and then did they give you a crazy deadline that you had to, have this turned around in 3 days? And you're like, oh snap! I got no sleep for the next 3 days.
Yeah, no, they didn't give me a deadline. I knew probably a week's time would be enough, but I definitely probably spent 2 weeks' time in that week just to make sure that it came out the way I wanted.
All right. Well, let's talk a little bit of in sort of the advice mode, because I feel like you're at such a senior position. You're helping a lot of people. You're helping them do the best work that they can do. So you're facilitating a lot of people doing the best that they can. And I'm sure that you also see what people are doing online. What do you see students or people who are trying to break in? What do you see some common issues that you're just like, oh man, this don't do this, or do this? For example, I really encourage people, like you're talking about mods. If you want to work in video games, you're not good enough yet. There's lots of projects that are happening right now for, you're not going to get paid for it, but you get real experience where you put your assets into a game and you can see how it looks, and you can figure out, wow, there's all this technology that I have to learn. It's not only the art. But what are some of the things that you see people or advice that you could give to people that you think that would really help them along?
I mean, I think a really big thing is working in a team. I mean, even when you're in school, most schools will encourage that you work in, and just to set up as a team. But it's just way easier to have somebody that specializes in, say, environment modeling or character modeling, if you want to just focus on animation. So you just have, this group of people get together, put it all together, and then, what comes out of that's going to be way better than what you could do most likely on your own. Another thing I see with people is a lot of, they probably jump ahead maybe a little too far. They go straight to character animation before they have really locked down just fundamental ideas and principles, of animation. And
to expand on that a little bit, fundamental ideas and principles of animation, is that going through and doing all the exercises in a book like the Animator Survival Kit, or is it something different?
Yeah, I mean, totally. Anything, flour sacks or bouncing balls, the classic. If you can make a ball bounce correctly, you've got a good start on the fundamentals already. So. Oh,
interesting. Well, for anybody listening, we do have that tutorial on Pencil Kings where you have the animated flour sack, we've got the bouncing ball, and have you done anything to, when you were sort of coming up, to work in teams? That I'm trying to think, like where I grew up, I was in this little village, and the internet was new, in '97, and I organized these weekend animation-a-thons. We barely produced anything because our visions were too big, but I was able to bring a bunch of people together, and everybody contributed models, and we got some simple things done. And I feel like that was the beginning. Is there anything that you did that you think is unique to kind of bring people together, and that people could maybe have takeaways that they could realize, hey, I know some people, I could actually do something. We could do something cool.
Yeah, I don't know if it's unique or anything, but just like all my friends from school, like everybody I met, like everybody brought something new to the table. So, we each had our own kind of discipline, and everybody just really like stuck to it, man. And we never really got any kind of projects done. Me and my one friend, we actually did a short. It was the one that originally got us. We got hired together at our first studio. But there's no way that either of us could have done it on our own for sure. So, but even now, I think it would be better to pull in as many people as I possibly could.
So with let's jump back to the present now. Overwatch just came out. People are going crazy. One of the things I feel like that I've realized that people, what they want out of art and why they want to get into art or animation or whatever, some kind of creative career, is the pride that you feel when you release a project or doing something that other people know about. What does it mean to you personally, or what did you feel like on launch day when Overwatch was coming out and you're just like, this is the thing that I've been working on for the last X time that I couldn't talk about, but now here it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's an overwhelming amount of pride. I mean, for Blizzard as a whole, with the way the project was when it was Titan, to actually releasing the game, it's been a really crazy feat, man. Like the team has just knocked it out of the park, man. And I couldn't be more proud of the work we've done for it.
Do you sleep better when on launch day? Is it or you're like too excited?
Yeah. Well, it's been a few weeks now that it's got to slow down a little bit. So, but I mean, we still have we've got like 5 other projects that are always going on too. So, but Overwatch was definitely the one that was really burning us down. So it's good that we got it out, man, and really proud of how everything turned out.
And were you attending any of the launch day events? I have one former coworker who's there, and so I see her Facebook feed and updating of like signing all this stuff. And I've never been to a BlizzCon or anything like that myself, but did you take part in any of those?
Oh, with like BlizzCon and stuff? Like I'll do some signings and things like that. But we actually work the show floor as employees now, so. We just want to make sure like everybody has the best time possible, right? So, and the best way to ensure that is, people that actually know the games, know all the IPs. So, just to make sure everybody has fun.
And I guess we'll make this my second last question, but for somebody who's aspiring to get to earn a place on your team, is that something that people do out of school? What's the path look like for those people? Because I know it's one of the most sought after teams to be on.
I mean, we get lots of reels, man. But, it doesn't matter if somebody's, got 10 years experience or just fresh out of school, 6 months. It all comes down to, what's on your reel. If your reel looks good, we're going to give you a call and bring you in. And then that's probably 40% of it, and then the 60 is like to see what kind of person you are. We just, we want to make sure, everybody fits with the team. We gotta keep our culture. So that's definitely a big thing we strive for. So.
And can you quantify that at all, or is there a way that, like, what's a good example and what's a bad example? I know that.
Oh man. Quantifying such a thing. I mean, I guess it's just the vibe you get from somebody. If you're looking for somebody that you want to hire, as a full-time employee, you want to make sure that you're not that stepping stone, right? So you want to make sure that that person is going to be vested in, in Blizzard. So you don't want to make sure, I come here, get some stuff on my reel, and then a year from now I bail out and go somewhere else. That's the kind of stuff, you want to watch out for.
Gotcha. And I think it goes back to where we first started this podcast, and you're like, you haven't played Overwatch yet? So if I went into the interview and then you're like, oh, so what did you think of Overwatch? Like, well, it's in the queue. I'm still finishing Witcher 3. You're like, okay, that's one strike.
I just finished Witcher 3 last night. So, man, so good.
All right, well, I guess I don't know. I feel like we've hopped around a lot. We've covered a lot of different things. And I'm wondering if there's one key thing that let's say you could go back to when you're getting started, and what advice would you give to yourself that could either shortcut or like cut out some of the maybe not bad decisions, but the hardship, that you went through. I feel like everybody has these moments. But what's some of that advice that you give to your younger self that would really, looking back, be like, wow, if I had known that would have really, I could have skipped some difficult times.
Oh, yeah, totally. Definitely a big thing I really wish I would have focused on was like figure drawing. Yeah, I'm not like the best at drawing anything even to this day, but that's definitely like I see some of our guys like just small little thumbnail stuff they draw and like how clear it is. I'm like, man, yeah, if we just had that, then you've already got your plan, right? And your animations are going to be that much easier for it. Also, like fundamentals for sure. When I was coming up through school, I was probably like most, I wanted to get straight into like, I want to do the really sexy character stuff, right? Yeah, it's best if you literally just go right to the fundamental stuff. Make sure you nail that first. Once you got that, then layer on top of it, man. And your knowledge base will just like you'll explode.
I like that. There's a story that I read, and a guy was talking about how he had been studying, let's just say it's karate, and he'd been studying karate, and he was a brown belt, which I think is one below the black belt. So he was pretty advanced, and he went to this dojo, where these other people were studying, and they were yellow belts, like one above the beginner level, and they were just whipping his butt. They were kicking his butt. No matter what he tried, all of his advanced techniques and all this stuff. And so he asked the sensei at that dojo, how can these yellow belts beat me? I'm a brown belt. What's going on? And what the sensei did there was that he only got them to train fundamentals. So they like learned one punch or one hold or one whatever it was. And they just did that over and over and over again. So it wasn't sexy. It wasn't necessarily exciting, but they had that foundation skill and they just knew how to do it without even thinking about it. And so
there's muscle memory.
Yeah, from there, everything else stems. So I think that's great advice to focus on the fundamentals that makes everything else possible.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you got to have something to build off of. So.
All right, well, that's it. Unless you have anything left to add, I'll let you get back to. I know you're going on vacation now that.
Oh yes,
the project
I'm
got
ready.
some of that great vacation time. So that sounds exciting. But yeah, if you have anything else, let it fly. Otherwise, we'll wrap this up and let you get back to your day.
All right, hey man, yeah, thanks so much for having me on, man. It was great. So yeah, and thanks for doing the podcast, man. You're helping a ton of people, man. So it's awesome.
Oh, where can we send people to find out more about you? That's a question I've stopped asking people recently. I usually just send them to our website, but where's the best place for people to find out about you and some of the stuff that you have going on?
Oh man, I have an art station. We got my LinkedIn. You can find me on there. Facebook me. I don't care. I'll add you. So,
okay.
Yeah, anybody wants to. If you need any animation advice, man, I'm always open, man. You can hit me up, and I will gladly give you any feedback. So.
All right. Well, at the risk of blowing up your Facebook, I'm going to dare a listener, somebody, send Corey something that you worked on hard and you're proud of, and that you would like a little bit of advice on. Don't send him garbage. make it something that you're really proud of and that you worked on, and send it. You never know. You know,
all right,
good things
that's
happen
awesome,
when
man.
you reach out. So,
I look forward to seeing that, man, for sure. So,
all right, thanks so much, Corey, and we'll have show notes from this as usual at pencilkings.com/podcast, and we'll look up all those links for you for Corey's various places and drop them there for you so you can click them very easily. Thanks so much, Corey. Really appreciate it.
awesome. Thanks, Mitch.
Demands patience, skill, years of practice.
Ah, you talk like a fool. I would trade a century of practice for an ounce of inspiration.